Hi, do you want to learn how to drive to Part 2 test standard and pick up some valuable teaching skills which you can pass on to your learners? Then you need to enroll in our online Part 2 training course. At the moment, we're offering a free trial, so there's no payment or contact details needed. All you need to do is just simply click on the link below and you'll get immediate access. In a moment, you're going to watch just one of over 30 videos that are contained within the course, which also includes assessments, quizzes, and downloads to help your learning and development. This one shows you how to make parallel parking easy for both yourself and your students. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. That would be really appreciated. And as always, take care. Keep safe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Okay, in this video, I want to have a little look at parallel parking. Now, in my experience, I think this is the maneuver that most people fear or dread the most, and they would least like to get on their Part 2 driving test. In practice, though, as we will see, if you try not to overcomplicate it and you just break it down into sort of 3 little bite-sized chunks, you should find it pretty straightforward. And hopefully I'm going to give you some guidance that you'll find nice and easy to follow. So to begin with, on your driving test, it's likely if the examiner wants you to do a parallel park, you'll be taken to a fairly quiet road where you don't tend to get too much traffic coming up and down, because at the end of the day, you are on test. It's an exercise, if you like, and they don't want to be a nuisance unnecessarily to other road users. So you'll get a situation that's sort of similar to what we can see out the front windscreen now. They'll pull you over to a stop. They'll probably just tell you quite precisely where they would like you to stop, and then they'll explain to you that when you're ready, they would like you to move the car away, stop next to the vehicle that's directly in front of you, and then reverse the car into a parking space using approximately 1.5 car lengths with the space to maneuver your car into, and stop close and parallel to the curb, right, the parallel park. Now that's what we've got here. Between the front of that Mazda, the silver Mazda that's in front of us, and the beginning of the double yellow lines, that's probably around about 1.5 cars worth of space that I'll have to reverse the car into. Maybe a little bit closer to 2 car spaces, but sort of there or thereabouts. At the end of the day, they're not going to get a tape measure out and mark it out for you. Yeah, so within reason, you do have a little bit of wiggle room, okay? Now, as I say, a lot of instructors and trainers, I think, way overcomplicate this. They throw in lots of technical but unnecessary detail that just can make the whole thing seem really complicated, like you've got masses to remember, and in reality, it simply isn't the case. Okay, so what we're going to do is break it down into 3 chunks, and I'm going to talk you through these chunks sort of step by step, and then we'll have a little review of them afterwards. Okay, so as with all parking maneuvers, safety first and foremost, so always checking your surroundings before you get the car moving, and every point, if you stop the vehicle, then check all around and keep checking as you're completing the exercise. Okay, so checking all around, checking my blind spot. I will put a signal on because there is a pedestrian further up the road, might be useful to them. Okay, and then I'm going to stop next to the vehicle, the target vehicle, if you like, that I'm then going to reverse behind. Okay, so I just want to get next to it just so I can see what's around the other side of the vehicle, no kids playing or anything. You don't need to be a set distance away. You know, obviously consider the width of the road that you're manoeuvring the car into. If it's a very narrow road, you might need to be a bit tighter up than I am at the moment. But again, checking all around, making sure it's safe. I'm in reverse, so anybody coming up from behind will see my reversing lights on, and hopefully they'll hold back. Nobody manoeuvring anywhere near me, either on the road surface, nobody walking on the pavements. And now I'm going to start to angle the car back in by steering to the left until I'm around about a 40 to 45 degree angle ish. Or if you want to think about it on the clock face at 2 o'clock, 10 minutes, or pizza slice, that type of thing. And then when I can see them at that angle, I'm going to stop, check all around, and now I'm going to straighten my front wheels back up. So if you like, I'm fixing the angle. Okay, now what I do, just for demonstration purposes, I just angle my door mirror down slightly. And what you'll see now in the left-hand door mirror is a triangle of tarmac. Okay, and as I go back in a straight line, but as an angle, that gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it pretty much disappears. Now, I've got a reversing camera, so I've also got a point I can use on my camera. And at that moment, now all I want to do is full lock to the right, checking all around, and just let the front of the car pivot in. And then as soon as I can see the front is fully in and I'm lined up and parallel with the curb, then I just simply straighten my front wheels up, handbrake on, into neutral. I can see I've got a nice tiny little gap between me and the curb, and I can see I'm parallel with it. Job done. Okay. So let me just highlight a few things to you there as I do it again. Okay, so I'll do it again. This time though, I'm not going to have my door mirror angled down. So I won't necessarily be able to use that little bit of a triangle that I just demonstrated that you'll be able to see if you do angle it down. But let's see if there's anything else that we can use that might help. I've got a reversing camera, of course, in this car, and that will help me greatly. So if you've got a reversing camera, you know, practice in your own car and work out at what points in terms of the image on the camera you need to use to then start to pivot the front of the car back in so you end up nice and close to the curb. But if you haven't got a reversing camera, let's see if there are any other little visual clues that you can use to help you. Okay, so checking all around, making sure it's safe. Starting off next to the target vehicle, doesn't matter which way it's pointed. We're not trying to line anything up on our car with their car. We're just going back in a little bit of a straight line to begin with, then we're angling it in. Okay, now I haven't got my mirror angled down now, but I'm about that 40 to 45 degree angle-ish. Straighten the front wheels up, checking all around, making sure it's safe, going back in a straight line. Now if I lean up in my seat, I can see my door handle on my passenger door is now just over the top edge of the curb. So now I can start to swing the front of the car in and then just watch the front of the car come in until I'm nice and close and parallel with the curb, pointed directly at the vehicle in front of me. Stop, straighten my front wheels up, handbrake neutral, job done. Now, because we went back slightly first before we started to angle the car in, what that's done is now given me a little bit of wiggle room in terms of space in front of me if I needed to use it. So say I had come back, but just as I was completing the maneuver and wanting to bring the front of the car in, I just bumped the curb very, very gently with my back wheels. Okay. At that point, hopefully you're going to realize you can't go back any further. Otherwise the back wheel's going to start to go up on the curb, and that's definitely going to cause you to fail your test. You're not going to fail it if you just bump the curb very, very gently. And depending on how gently you bump it, you may not even pick up a driving fall. Okay, but if you recognize you can't go back any further, but the front of the car, let's just put it into first to begin with. You notice now the front of the car is just sticking out a little bit. Again, you definitely wouldn't want to leave it like this, okay, because you're not tucked in properly, and in terms of any other vehicles coming up and down this road, the way that your car is angled might be confusing to them, and if it's a very narrow road, could cause an obstruction as well. So we definitely want to bring the front in, and we've got a little bit of space to play with to help us do that. So all you do in these situations is just get into first, bit of rapid sort of full lock steering to the left, rapid steering back to the right. The car's barely moved any distance forward, but now we're completely tucked in. Okay, similarly, by allowing yourself a little bit of wiggle room in front, say on this occasion you maybe panicked slightly and you brought the front of the car in too early, okay, and as a consequence we're now stuck out quite a bit from the curb, definitely not in line with the vehicles that are directly in front of us, and that is going to need to be sorted. Otherwise, if this happened on your Part 2 test, it would cause you to fail your test. Okay, so we're going to need to go back a little bit further. Okay, so full lock steering, right, in reverse, full lock steering, again checking all around, making sure it's safe. Okay, get the back tucked right in. We've still got a lot of wiggle room to play with. Now whip that steering wheel back round and stop, and then sort the whole thing out moving forwards. And again, we haven't used more than a car and a half of space to maneuver our car into, and we've ended up nice and close and parallel to the curb. So any little rescues like that are probably going to result in you getting a driving fault, but it wouldn't be a serious or a dangerous fault. So to be avoided if possible, but as I say, when carrying out this exercise, if you do give yourself a little bit of room for maneuver in front of you after you've brought the back of the car in and brought the front in as well, then you've got enough space to sort it out. If you try to reverse full lock or one full turn steering without going back in a straight line a little bit first, then it's likely that you're not going to have that space in front of you to play with if it's needed. Okay, so I hope that made sense. I hope that's helped, and by all means, check out our learner videos as well, where you'll see me demonstrating this to them as well. Okay, cheers, bye.